certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Quite intriguing waking up and seeing surprises every day, but we just hope that one day we're going to wake up and then we're not going to see surprises as negative surprises in Nigeria. As Nigerians, we always look forward to having it better off, most especially in the political setting. Well, again, there's this saying that the youths are the leaders of tomorrow, and we just hope to see the Not Too Young to Run Act, really improving the lives of the youths in politics, and of course a whole lot. My name is Philip Omo-Gyupa. With this, I say good morning and welcome on board with me on TMI. I still have my co-anchor with me, Arnold Wapo-Stevens. Good morning.
Good morning, Philip. Are you a youth?
Well, if you say that, basically yes,
if I
am.
say that, no, I'm asking you if you're actually a youth.
Of course, you shouldn't be asking that.
Because you said the youth are the leaders of tomorrow. That's like, it's more or less like a cliche now, because we've been hearing that over and over again. And the big question is, when will tomorrow come? When will tomorrow come?
Well, every day that breaks seems to give us an impression that tomorrow never comes, because you still have those who have been in the circles of politics, still in that same circle, like a recurring decima. And sometimes you ask, what is going to stop them from, continuing? Most especially when we have this stomach infrastructure phenomenon, towards politics.
Of course, of course. Well, it's an ongoing conversation.
It's an ongoing conversation,
and
yeah.
You know the usual saying that says, power is not given, it is taken. So it's up to the youth to take power into
grab
their
it,
hands.
to take it. Well, we've seen them doing that, most especially, the shift, in the aspect of the NSAS protest that happened some years back, and that again brought a whole lot in terms of what they brought into the media space, as in social media.
Of course.
And of course, the big question again is the infiltration of the youths, dominating the social media. Will it translate, as in dominating social media, talking about, elections, political issues, to balance issues as regarding, checkmating the activities of the political actors? But will this translate into elections, having such a huge amount of contributions that they do at the digital space? Will it translate into the electoral process? And again, will it also translate into them, coming up to run for public offices?
Well, as regards running for public offices, I do not know, but we saw what happened in the last election.
In
2023, we saw how heated up the conversation was as regards politics, perhaps because there was a new bride in the system. A lot of persons had the hope, had the zeal to want to participate in politics in Nigeria. But in a whole, youth participation in the country has taken another shape, another dimension. I mean, take you back to when the Electoral Act Amendment Bill conversation was on, and we saw how some of the youth staged a peaceful protest to the National Assembly to air their voices. Interestingly, their voices were heard, but not in the dimension that they actually wanted, right? So we've seen over time that right now, youth are really vocal, online, offline, but we just hope that all of this gives us a greater dimension come 2027.
By the time you say policies affecting you directly, and you're not able to speak or find a way to help in the process of implementing the policies or complaining about it so that these policies can go back to the chambers and it can be redefined in a way that the policies won't, go against the the expectations of Nigerians. Not until we wake up as youths. You ask that question. Of course I am. Not until we wake up as youths, you know, to defend our common patrimony, to defend our heritage, we will continue to be in these circles of not being able to make things change around. Most especially what is happening, you know, in the Strait of Hormuz. You know, some will say, what has that got to do with Nigeria? If really we have our refineries right, if really we have, you know, all of these governance, you know, policies, you know, put in the right direction, we wouldn't be bothered about the shocks from the global market, but the disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz seems to be affecting us. And sometimes you ask, the monopolization of the part of the, you know, petrol sector, as in the space of the petroleum sector being monopolized. How does this translate to a better future for Nigeria?
A lot of things to talk about. It's a global shock, meaning it's not just happening only here in Nigeria.
No.
And it's a conversation that has interestingly come to stay. One of the most prevailing conversation now is, why are we being affected the way we are right here in Nigeria? But let's not forget, the government is having a sweet benefits as regards the Brent crude being sold for over $100 per barrel. But then again, the youth, the masses, people at the downtrodden, how is it going to affect them right now? Right. So right now, petrol is being sold for 1,150 to 1,300 naira per liter, pending on the location you find yourself. One of the main conversation the Nigeria Labour Congress has put out there is that all of this is actually showing how fragile the economy is with our petroleum sector in Nigeria. A clear case of how the international market tends to shape the prices of fuel here. But let's not forget, it didn't start today. It started with the removal of fuel subsidy in 2023, of which the president said he knew he was stubborn, but he just had to do it to make the things right in the country. And currently now, labor union is calling out for cost of living allowance to cushion the effects of what is going on now in Nigeria. And also, the federal government, over the course of last week, the president reiterated the CNG gas and the buses conversation, where he said he has released over 100,000 CNGs to help cushion the effect in Nigeria. But would that make fuel prices cheap? Would that make cost of transportation cheap in Nigeria? Would that make cost of living cheap in Nigeria? It's an ongoing conversation.
Oh, well, don't forget that's a palliative. The government will tell you, well, it's a palliative and it's just a short-term plan, just to kind of, you know, absorb the shocks that could be coming as a result of these disruptions we're having. But again, government is seen as the machinery in the forefront of governance, and so it's expected that they do the needful in order to make sure that all of these challenges were not affected by it. Well, let's join you, Dominic AMSA from Abuja Network Center. Good morning.
Oh, of course. Good morning, Philip. Good morning. It's a Tuesday. The program this morning on ITV is a delight to always be on stage with you guys. Of course, the discussion there is quite germane, especially at a time like this. Let me just give you my own coin of the last issue you talked about, especially the fuel incident. Nigerians are feeling the brunt of the whole incident. To tell you that how could do a nation tied to a coin line that we are benefiting with looking at the prices of crude oil at the international market over $1,000 now as it stands, and we have crude that we export. Then secondly, those of us who are using public transportation would definitely suffer for it, because we still import refined products, and most of these products have been brought back to Nigeria. The Nigerian crude alone is not enough to be refined and then brought back to the country. Even with the Dangote refinery, we're still suffering. So that brings me to the question, what is the state of government-owned refineries? For how long are we going to be suffering issues like this whenever there is a crisis that has to do with crude oil around the world? Nigeria suffers for it and all that. But the issue of CNG is, most persons know that it's quite expensive. The government releasing about 1,000 kits. How many vehicles do we have on the street of Nigeria? How many of those buses we have on the street of Nigeria? So let's begin to look away from fuel We've depended on fuel for too long for our economy. There are other aspects or other sectors that we can look at. Agriculture. Nigeria is not doing badly there. Well, let's diversify a little. Other countries like Japan, China are not really feeling it because they are going away from fuel. Electric cars are all available. So let's begin to think how to diversify our economy so that we don't be feeling the brunt of this once they have crises or once there are crises in any parts of the world where we get our fuel. But I'll just leave that to the government to continue to do what they are doing in terms of palliative to reduce the plights of Nigerians. But like we said, Nigeria must continue to look inward to see how we diversify our economy so we don't continue to suffer what we've been suffering now. For those of you who know the streets of Abuja, it's very expensive going to work, especially on weekdays because of the high cost of transportation. I know it's the same right there in Benin, but it's terrible. It's telling on Nigerians, even though there's no because it's terrible. Let's just leave it there.
Exactly what you just said. Let's just leave it there because a lot of challenges, and who wears the shoes know where it pinches most. Let's get to you, Patricia. Good morning. You look quite great and beautiful.
Good morning, Philip. Thank you so much, and good morning, Anu, over there in Benin. Anyways, from here in Lagos, let's talk about the fuel situation, just like you all have been talking about it. It is actually pinching us hard here in Lagos. The transportation has become very, very expensive, and that has made the foodstuffs in the market. I'm going to be talking about the foodstuffs. The foodstuff in the market has tripled, not just doubled, and every Lagosian is complaining. You know how it is in Lagos. Lagos is a city, mega city where we have a lot of Nigerians residing in it. And it is pinching everybody. Everybody's complaining. You know, just like he said, what do we want to do to quench this pain on the people of Nigeria? Should we be looking at agriculture at this time? Nigeria beyond oil. If that is possible, we could look beyond oil and, you know, focus on agriculture and every other thing that Nigeria can provide. That will help to quench the pains of this fuel scarcity or fuel increase on the people of Nigeria. It is actually pinching us here in Lagos. When you're coming to work in the morning, you see workers going to work, you know, less of vehicles on the street now because of the fuel increase. You know, less of transportations on the streets, and so workers are queued, some of them coming to the office very late because of this pain. Anyways, let's look at Nigeria beyond oil. That could help. Philip.
Well, thank you very much, Patricia. The conversation of diversifying the economy in Nigeria has been long on, and even the agrarian society developing it to make sure that we are able to, you know, get at the greens, you know, has been on. But sometimes you just want to believe that maybe the government is just paying lip services to all of this, bringing hypocrisy into all of this. Again, the big question, even when Dominic Yemese spoke about having electric cars and all that, that's a tall dream. That's a tall dream in Nigeria. But you know, I've noticed that what the government benefits from, they hardly want to unbundle.
Of course, we've seen that happen over and over time. And when it comes to what it tends to affect them, or anything that tends to affect them, they do it with, you know, the speed of light. We saw that happen with FAN and the airport situation. But away from that, let's not forget that in the midst of all of this, electricity situation is also, you know, just there at the side. It's also another conversation. So while Nigerians are struggling and trying to get fuel, there is no light, no electricity for you to do your businesses, blackouts, you know, a lot of things just happening at the same time. And amidst all of this, the presidential villa thought it needful to acquire solar panels to disconnect themselves from the national grid.
That's a big one.
This is where we are. Same president who said in 2023 that if I do not provide you electricity, do not vote me in for the second term.
And the second term is just inching closely. Of course. About 10 months coming. Well, we're going to be having all of this discussion, most especially as regards youth in democracy, looking at the challenges and, of course, opportunities therein. And we're going to be interviewing, you know, political analysts in that light. Well, we take a short break, after which we'll look at the pages of the newspaper. Don't you go away. Well, let's go get a read on of the newspaper headlines today. And every day comes with news stories, and let's get to see what the stories are like. They said the taste of the pudding is basically in the eating. So on the screen, we're going to be having This Day, and let's look at what This Day has got. On This Day, at the top of the cover page, we have it where it says inflation continues downward trend, dropped to 15.06% in February, and 12th straight monthly decline. And of course, food inflation elevated, and of course we have severe in Anambra, Kogi, Benue, and others. On this day, multiple explosions hit Maiduguri, many feared killed. You can get that on page 32. Still the challenge of insecurity. How do we secure the Nigerian space is what we're also looking at. This says, Magnus Abbey, oil price spike offers revenue boost for Nigeria. Is that what we're talking about? They say different strokes for different folks. Why the government is booming, having a very boom treasury, the masses are suffering it. All right, this says, NATO, EU allies reject Trump's demand to help open Strait of Hormuz. And of course, Tinubu begins two-day historic state visit to the UK. And that's what we got on this day.
Right, away from This Day newspaper, let's turn our attention over to another major headline. This morning, we have The Nation newspaper. And of course, The Nation newspaper this morning is leading with this major headline that says, Tinubu wife begin historic state visit to United Kingdom. Subwriter says, President to get royal reception at Windsor Castle. 746 million euro financing agreement on port upgrade to be signed. Away from that story, in business news, stock market gain hits 30 trillion naira. NGX attributes investors' confidence to reforms. Well, on page 3 of The Nation newspaper this morning, Zulum condemns bombings in Maiduguri, really a sad one that happened yesterday during the late hours of Monday. On page 4, 8.7 billion naira case, how funds were moved to firms linked to Malami. Declining cost of food services push inflation down to 15% on page 7. Dangote, China's GCL group, sells $4.2 billion gas deal, still on page 7. DIG, Sanwo-Olu's free medical outreach for police will enhance efficiency on page 15. And finally, on The Nation newspaper this morning, NSIB launches probe into Abuja-Kaduna train accident on page 6. And sadly, that happened on Monday, yesterday. We saw that, an ongoing conversation right here.
Well, moving away from that, let's quickly get to the Vanguard newspaper. And what do we have on the Vanguard newspaper today? We have it on the big headline. It says, after 6 months break, food inflation resumes upward, climbs, and rises to 12.12%. Only just 6 months break.
That's a lot.
That's a lot?
That's a lot, really.
We expected it never to come back.
Well, I expected it to come back because of what is going on currently in the Middle East. Yeah, interestingly how the oil tends to be connected with every sector right here in Nigeria. So, of course, it's actually expected.
Well,
how long will it be?
It's our hope. How long will it be? It's our hope that we have all of this, behind us and see how we can breathe, at least, when it comes to food inflation. It goes a long way to, temper with the health and, of course, lives of the citizens. Well, let's leave that and quickly also focus on the headlines just at the top of the cover page, where we have the President Tinubu's visit, historic UK state visit. Well, we hope to see stories, emanating from that visit, and of course, how it's going to transform and make Nigeria greater. All right, this says on hardship, civil servants demand 154,000 naira minimum wage. What do you expect? What do you expect?
154,000.
Yes, as minimum wage. That's quite a humble one.
It is possible in Nigeria, but
It's even a humble figure.
is it so? What's your
It's a humble figure.
what's your own amount?
250. as minimum
250
wage.
in Nigeria.
But can that help? Can that help the system? Because the moment there is an increase in salaries and your landlord gets to hear that, there's a hike in that, and of course, even it's going to affect the market woman, increasing her stock in the marketplace. It goes all
Well,
around.
perhaps
So
let's just say
is that the right way? Is that the right process to
Let's
go
say
about it?
everybody would be happy, right? Because it's a chain. It goes round the circle, and
Yeah.
everyone will smile to the bank at the end of the day. But would it even happen? Remember the drama that we saw with the order minimum wage being increased? We saw how labor unions, the TUC, and the federal government had to go back and forth.
Jamboree.
Some state governors had to come up to increase yes to 100,000 naira in their state. But again, let's not forget, over the weekend, NLC did state that they want a cost of living allowance in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Would that even happen?
Will that happen? Well, let's see what we've got next. It says states account for 48% public spending on the Vanguard newspaper, and you get that on page 5. All right, you get it on page 5. Then we have this. It says Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz is always, on the headlines. EU rejects Trump's demand for help. What could be the reason? Is it as a result of the U.S. president flouting some expected rules that should govern the international space? Well, get a copy of the Vanguard newspaper as EU rejects Trump's demand for help. We have this. It says Southwest leaders to federal government and governors collaborate to tackle insecurity. That's a big one. I didn't interview Emefiele during probe. EFCC witness has that to say. And to accuse PDP to APC, you are delusional. Says the factions won't kill opposition. Well, let's get this from the to relieve our minds a little bit. On the cartoon it says, Mr. and Mrs. My husband just bought a brand new car. All right. And the other lady says, my husband's car, he fuels me, I have my 40 parts changed, and he services me with regular visits to the boutique, so he gets a smooth ride anytime. Which one pays better? I don't know about you got that.
Lady,
You got that. Which one pays better?
I think
is
it's
it
the
is it
other
what
way.
the first lady said or the second one?
The second one, where you get to benefit from the good
Yeah, baby.
of what the husband is enjoying. But it might not even be true, though.
Okay.
It might just be that woman trying to spite the other one and make her feel jealous.
Jealous.
Yeah, so, I mean, women
Women and their issues. Women and your issues.
What? Of course. Away from that,
All right.
let's look at another major newspaper. If
Yep.
we have up for review, what do we have next?
No, well,
Let's see what we have.
but I think that should be all.
Okay.
As we take a short break to quickly talk about our first discussion, which is on issues surrounding, Iran war, and of course how it can abate the challenges that we're being faced globally. Do stay.
ITV,
ITV, certainly the best.
This is Aqua Game, a popular game in Africa played by our ancestors to entertain themselves after each day of farming. It is also relevant in our coronation in Africa. It is a sport and indeed very interesting, as every seed had a role in the game. Playtime is 45 minutes per set. There is no age limit as long as you can spin Aqua seed. Ayo or Aqua Game, known as the game of intellectual. This game requires a lot of mathematical skills. Aqua Game is played with carved wooden box containing 12 holes.
This is Anegbete community, situated in Isako Central Local Government Area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age
Good morning. Big thanks for joining us once again as TMI. And first discussion, like what said, we're going to be shifting away from that and looking into the youths in politics, youths in democracy, looking at the opportunities and challenges therein. And joining me here in the studio is a politician and former Councillor Ubiaja 1, Esan Southeast. He's also a businessman. Honorable Jonathan Okosun, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, away from that, let's also, we'll also be joined by Ibrahim Momo, a lecturer from the Edo State University, Brusala University rather, Ekpoma. If we can have him, please, let's have him on the screen. Good morning, Ibrahim Momo. I guess you can hardly hear me. Good morning, Ibrahim Momo. Okay, as much as we are able to get it right in connectivity, we're going to be getting his contribution on that. But well, as the saying goes, youths are the leaders of tomorrow. And the not too young to run act also brought about some, enshrined some constitutional provisions on helping, the youth to, take up that space. We have the age of the presidency being reduced to the 35, and of course senators likewise, and of course that of governors also, and then we have that of House of Rep and the House of Assemblies for states reduced to 25. So, but in all of this, we still have this challenge where youths are not occupying the political space as being fed into public offices. What do you make of this background in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good morning, Edo. Within the context of our practice in our political space in the country, you see that we have a lot of factors that are discouraging the youth for participating in politics, such as high costs of running election, unemployment, and then this age stereotype amongst our leaders. These are some of the factors that are affecting youth participation in our politics today. But over the years, with the introduction of the social media, you see the youths are more interested. The rate at youth participation between 1999 to 2015, and now for 2015 to 2026, you see that there's a huge gap. The youths are actively involved, mobilizing votes and using the social media platform and other digital platform. So I believe that we are doing well, and means, seated here today, I'm a youth.
Oh, you're a youth?
Yeah, and I was elected councillor, 7 years ago at the age of 25.
At the age of 25?
Yes, I was the youngest.
So today you are 32?
Yes, I'm 32.
In 3 years' time, you should hit the age of becoming the president or the governor?
Absolutely. God's will is going to give power.
All right. Okay, but in your experience, because I just want to talk about it, in your experience as a councillor and all that, what were you able to, make a change about as a youth in politics?
Yeah, being a councillor at that age, it comes with a lot of challenges.
Challenges.
And it's tasking. Leadership is complex.
It's complex.
I believe in, training youth by leadership roles. So I was able to learn from that process. And I'm a fast learner, very fast learner at that. So, during my time, we engage youth actively, encouraging them to participate in our politics. And also, carry an initiative that will encourage them, and also talks about, some of the challenges that the youth are facing related to drug abuse and all this kind of stuff. So we are trying. I tried my best at that time, and we are still trying, to encourage the youth so that it will be more, forceful in our political.
Do you see the money bags in politics as also another drawback? Because political parties, basically, they increase the prices for their nomination and interest forms and out of the reach of the common man. And how will the youth, galvanize that?
Yeah, it's true. Like I said, that the high cost of running election in the country, is one of the things that is discouraging youth for participating in politics. And, like where I come from in the Eastern Southeast, there is this Ibakota something agenda.
That's what in English?
Yes,
Ibakota means what?
Agreement, yes, of the people. So when I came in, like this time, there's Ibakota, there's agreement in this land. The agreement says there's no third term. It was evident in the 2023 election, and you saw how the governor of Edo State in March. It was as a result of the no third tenure agenda, So, but fast forward to this time, there is also a case of no third tenure in the Eastern Southeast that the youths are clamoring, saying that we don't want this is an agreement. So they were looking for who will come out, to contest this Ibakota agenda. So I took the bold step. I declared, and the youth, they came out en masse, supported me.
Okay.
It was not monetized. That's why I said that there's a huge change from voter participation of the youth in the 90s and now. There's a huge change because people are getting more enlightened.
Okay.
And the youth are now participating in politics.
I really see that in the digital space, and that's basically what we are also craving for, that we should see more of these, translating into electoral victories for the youths.
Exactly.
Well, we also will be joined by Comrade Kelvin Isesele, a political analyst from China. Can we have you? Comrade Kelvin Isesele, political analyst from China. Okay, let's get back to you, Ibrahim Mama, lecturer, Ambassador University, Ekoma. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Well, let's look at it closely. You know, you've been following the trends as regards the youths in politics, and of course, all that came with Not Too Young to Run Act, the provisions that came with it. It is like a view observed generally that there seems to be a clog in the wheel of progress by present leaders not to give space for, you know, the younger generation to also participate fully in politics. Do you agree?
Well, the basic point about leadership is that nothing is given. So the leadership of the people of the country is not given a la carte to the people, to the youth, so to say. But if the youth attempt to, if the youth work hard enough, individually and collectively, and with the right pieces falling in place, yes, youth can play a very significant role in our body politics.
We sincerely apologize for the loss of audio in that. As soon as we're able to get that right, we join Ibrahim Mohammed to finish on that. Well, let's get back to you, Honorable Jonathan. Now, let's look at the challenges that we've been faced with. You know, it's been a challenge, and all of this being affected by the glitches that happened, you know, in 2023 general elections. And we have the 2027 elections coming closely. There's this impression again that with what we're having, where election results won't basically be churned out at 3 times because the Electoral Act 2026, as amended, never took that into recognition. Isn't that another headache that could also, you know, be a clog in the wheel of progress, even for the younger generation, the youths?
You know, from that, the law that has just been amended by the National Assembly, you know, but there are some things I would not want to dabble into, you know.
Dabble?
Yes, personally.
Okay. Because it affects your party?
No, because
you are the All Progressives Congress.
Yes.
So you wouldn't want to dabble into what your party seems to be doing in favor of your party?
No.
Because we are gravitating towards a one-party system.
No. I am a pro-democrat. No, I don't believe in one-party system. I'm saying it on air. You understand? Well, I think that, you know, the issue of.
But the machinations of your party suggest so.
No, yes, they did, and I'm coming. You know, I believe in politics. We are not voting on the media or maybe on the internet. It is physical, you know, voting that's taking place across the units. And every political party, you know, by the Electoral Act, you have to have an agent that will represent the party at the units level. So I think that is the major issue. You know, having a representative at that unit that will be there while the election is taking place. You understand? But because when I read the clause of the act that was amended, I saw from the angle that the senators were coming from, because there are some areas which you and I cannot deny here that have, you know, this access to, you know, internet connectivity and even electricity and all that in Nigeria. Because I'm a realist and I believe in practical governance.
You are a realist and you're also a politician.
Yeah, I'm a politician.
Of course.
Of course I'm a politician.
And I definitely basically believe that you're not going to end as a former councillor. You're also looking forward to, you know, higher positions. But again, the challenge here is, does the party, because at the point where you want to vie for a position, for instance, you know, you have various persons vying for same positions. And of course, we have that of, you know, direct primary that has been sustained and recognized by the Electoral Act 2026 as amended.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a challenge? Most especially, for instance, for you who maybe could be running for a higher office?
No, like you know, the youth constitutes more than 60% of our, you know, for the population.
Yes.
So, but you know, over the years, the youth, you know, they were no more enlightened. Some of them, because of corruption, you know, they back out of politics, they want to be involved. So that's what we are doing now, you know, trying to encourage them Like me, like I said, I took a bold step when I said I want to run for a position. I came out at the age of 25. I was already a councillor. So I was an encouragement to others as of today. So, you know, this direct primary of the thing is more of democratic than the delegate primaries. Because every category member of the party will now have the opportunity to decide who represents them. It's not going to be about the money bag anymore. It's going to be about what the members of the party now want.
Don't forget vote buying. Don't forget vote buying, because that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, vote buying.
Because a situation where they said, okay, direct primary is recognized by the Electoral Act 2026 as amended. Yeah. Don't also forget again that there's going to be some infiltration of the money, the money bags by politicians. That may want to outweigh the young generation like you.
Yes, of course.
In politics.
Because when I declared, the people that I'm up against, what they keep saying, they have not said that Jonathan is not qualified or Jonathan is bad. Jonathan has done this over the years. What we keep hearing is that I have the more money back than him. No? But we are enlightening the youth that if we continue to elect leaders based on the deep pocket they have, they will continue to be where we are. That we need to elect people who are credible, people who have the leadership skills, not just in servitude, but also in character. You know, the way they treat people, their actions and inactions, as it affects our collective interests.
Okay, we have this challenge where a huge number of the youth population in politics, instead of them to be used as be deployed into running for public offices, and we see more of them, the number rising.
Yes, of course.
They rather are being used as political thugs.
No.
That again, what do you make of that? Because your party, for instance, is not excused from thuggery. And the youth are basically...
I don't know about that.
Your party is not excused.
But I know what I'm saying that I don't know.
You don't know if your party has thugs?
No, I will speak from the angle where I come from. Because the way I come from, we don't encourage thuggery.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's where I come from. We never had a record of electoral violence in where I come from. So I will speak from, like I said.
If you say you don't encourage thuggery, does it mean that there are no thugs in your party?
No,
you don't deploy them during elections?
No.
And the question here is, why is it that the youths are mostly used for such, most especially when it has to do with disturbing the electoral process?
That's what we are saying, that when we elect younger people into offices, I believe, like in the lawmaking, I've been a councillor, and that is why I want to go higher. The youth will be the person or the people that will make laws that will be friendly to the youth. And that is why we are encouraging youth participation in politics. Because what we have is that, because they know that the youth have over 60% of the population, so they created a society where they can sponsor them, because of the level of unemployment. People are hungry. I may have integrity. I always tell people, in all my years in politics, I've never asked any politician, I will say it on it, and I dare anybody to challenge that. I've never asked anybody to give me a dime to give you support. I've not done it.
Okay.
You understand? But it is not so with every other person out there. So they created an environment where, because of unemployment, then they cannot use these guys for whatever they want. Okay. They give them stipend, you go and do this and go and do that. But that is we are trying to change the narrative.
How do we change the narrative? I'll come back to you. But let's quickly say if we can get Ibrahim Momo back, if we have that opportunity to do that. Ibrahim Momo, lecturer, Amboseli University, Ekpoma. Good morning once again, Ibrahim. Can you hear me? I'm afraid we are not being joined by Ibrahim Momo as a result of poor internet connectivity. Well, let's focus. Yeah. Let's see this aspect of vote buying, which is a negative trend in politics. And how can we kill it? Like you said, changing the narrative. Because if we don't change the narrative, it is going to eat deep into our electoral heritage.
Yeah. Like I told you, when the youth were saying no to tenure in Renaissance artist, I seized the opportunity to say, I declared it was a bold step. I know I do not have money to come and share.
Yeah.
But the support I've gotten so far is born out of conviction, because they believe that this person can do it. And that's to tell you there's a shift. Before, if you don't have money, you can't even dare to come out and say you want to declare for the position. So this sensitization of the youth is what we are doing, and we are encouraging them. That is why I'm emphasizing that when we elect younger people to offices, we also encourage the youth to shun this vote buying, because vote buying is a big problem in our electoral processes.
Again, sponsorship is another big challenge.
Yeah.
Because we want to have the right pegs in the right holes, like square peg in square holes, round pegs in round holes. But this is where we have this breed, young breed, who are really, really intelligent and want to turn things around to change the narrative. And they are not having this financial base. Don't you see that as a problem? How can we galvanize that for the youth?
Yeah, that's why I said from the beginning that one of the issues is high cost of running election.
So how do we tackle that?
So that is it. I believe, you know, the party, it is when they see that the youths are not deeply involved, like they are lending their voices using the social media platform, and they will understand they have to reduce the cost of running election.
Exactly.
Such as, you know, buying a form, and the, you know, general ideology of people that, you know, you must give me money before I vote. It will take years to correct that.
To correct that.
Because it is something that's planted.
It's embedded in our system already.
In our system already. So it will take years with continuing, you know, public enlightenment, you know, holding leadership meetings, you know, seminars, you know, encouraging the youth that this thing is not right. But we'll continue to sell our future, then we'll continue to be where we are.
Something just entered my mind. As you said, it's going to take years, and you are a politician.
Yeah, it took years. Yeah.
Are you not sure you are also caught in the web, where, you, for instance, you are vying for an office, and then during election, you see your opponent, you know, doing that. Don't you also do that?
No, not at all. I told you, I said the support.
You don't patronize vote buying?
No, I don't patronize it. I believe in credibility, character. As a leader, you show character and the capacity to lead.
What about that works against you in elections, for instance, as a youth?
As a youth, you know, that's why we are, you know, we are letting the youth know that we should not continue like this.
Yeah, changing the orientation.
Yes, like I said, we will change the narrative, and I believe it's God that gives power. You understand? But by the time the youth begin to show interest and people see that the youth have woken up, then the leaders will understand. I talked about the age stereotype. Like our leaders in the political parties, you know, you hardly see a youth, you know, being among the leaders. I mean, where they are deciding, you know, the fate or the direction of the party. So it's a problem. So with continuous youth engagement, then the leaders will begin to understand that, although the governor of Edo State is trying on that, you can see the appointment he's making so far, you know, I can say about 50% or more.
At the level of appointments?
Yes, the level of appointments. Even at the council, local governments, look at some of the council chairmen, the councillors, they are young people. You know, the governor that I know, you know, have more interest in the youth. And I believe, you know, we are working in that direction. That's it.
Okay. Do we see the possibility of your party, the All Progressives Congress, changing this narrative you said? Because if we look at the federal level, for instance, the president, you know, there's this money bag, you know, syndrome that is attached to, you know, winning elections. And do you see your party as even ready to encourage that?
No, sorry, sir, I will disagree to that.
What do you disagree to?
In 2023 general election,
yes,
as a witness, we didn't see money back because, remember, there was a directive or a law by the CBN where there was no cash flow in the society.
You mean in 2023?
2023. So this government, what I'm saying that this government...
you mean nothing happened?
That's what I'm telling you, that this government of President Tinubu, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, didn't come on the basis of money back. I've been in politics so active, and I can tell you for free that in that election, all the election I've been involved with, you know, I've never seen an election where, you know, there was no cash, you know, available at that election. So President Tinubu did not come. Don't forget, if you say there was no cash, probably it happened that night. No, I didn't know about that because I'm also a stakeholder in my ward. Because they say if the birds, if the hunters say they will shoot without missing, the birds basically will fly without touching. Of course. And there seems to be this, you know, this impression which seems to be popping up that even your party, you know, happens to be a party that wants to, you know, lead others, you know, suffocate other political parties so that there won't be opposition ahead 2027. No. And of course, the body language of the president seems to say that in the humongous amounts given to governors in that respect. That has been alleged. It has not been confirmed. No? News can just come out and, you know, you have to investigate it very well. If somebody say the president is popping out money, do you have evidence of that? Do you have evidence? But I'm saying that there may be instances where people want to monetize our electoral process, because we can't deny that. You understand? Now, in our political system, I do not believe that it's the APC that is sponsoring, you know, instability in other opposition parties. I do not believe so. You know, being a leader, I always emphasize that the ability to manage people is what matters. You need to manage your followers. If the opposition party has put in their house in order, you know, everything will be okay. So that is it.
All right, let's quickly get your contributions from the lecturer, Ekpoma Ambassador University, Ibrahim Momo. Can you hear me, please? Okay, good to have you join once again, Ibrahim. Now, we had that discussion before we lost the opportunity for you to make that contribution. You know, we keep seeing these opportunities for youth to come up, like the Not Too Young to Run Act. But do you see much number coming up, or is it a deliberate act by the current leaders to suffocate the younger generation from taking into power and politics?
Well, my position, you know, in the course of my earlier, you know, comment was that power is never given. It involves a struggle, it involves participation actively. And then sometimes people, particularly youths, make the mistake of thinking that politics is about contesting and winning elections. It is much more than that. And because the offices are limited in Nigeria, total number of House of Assembly seats in Nigeria is just now around 90. Total number of gubernatorial offices in Nigeria are just 36. Presidency is just 1. Senators are just 109. Of red seats are about 360. If you put some together, the total number of public offices, elected public offices in Nigeria, is less than 3,000. So, and in a country of over 200 million people, majority of whom are youths. So the first mistake people make is to assume that political participation is only about contesting and winning elections, whereas there's a whole lot of issues involved. For example, the issue of advocacy is one. You know, public offices or public policies embedded by those in public office are often achieved through advocacy. You know, youth should look at the full gamut. Where else can we play? Even when it comes to policy formulation, when it comes to interest articulation, what do we really want? It's not only about, sometimes you have the wrong person. If you have a youth, we have had a youth, for example, Yaya Bello, who was just 40 when he became governor. How well did he perform? So for me, it's not only about winning elections, winning public office, it's also about every other issue around the public policy or political process. I will give, for example, the fact that there is a lot of insecurity in the country. What is the youth population, the youth voter population, what are they doing individually, in small groups, or collectively about the issues of insecurity? What about poverty? These are some of the issues that are affecting, so I am not one of those who believe that for youth to participate in politics, it's all about contesting and winning elections. Sometimes it's even better you have a more experienced person there, but who listens, who mainstreams, who carries along the interest of the youth. For example, the Not Too Young to Rule Act was not done by a youth. It was done by a septuagenarian president, some 70-year-old president. But how effectively are we taking advantage, are the youth taking advantage of the Not Too Young to Rule? So that's, for example, one of the things that can be done, you know, at the level of policy. There's also the issue of godfatherism. You know, Nigerian politics, not just Nigerian politics, politics generally, it's about, you know, who gets what, when and how. Sometimes those decisions are not made in the politics. That's why you look at 2026 election. You know, there's the issue of consensus candidates in the absence of which we go to direct primaries. There's no issue of, you know, indirect primaries anymore. Now, at the level of consensus candidacy, one thing is clear, that godfatherism plays a very critical role in who becomes the candidate. So sometimes the youth must look beyond, you know, holding public. That's the major point I like our youth population to take. The offices available, they are not much compared to the number of persons. Nigeria has, at the last count, over 93 million registered voters. 93 million registered voters looking for less than 3,000 positions. It's not possible that every one of them will get it. But even in voting, if the youth population council come together, that's the critical point. I can anchor on this. Even when it comes to voting, according to INEC data, over 51% of all registered voters are youths. Over 51%. That is significant. In a country where turnout is often hovering around 30% in general elections, 51% are youths. It means that the youth themselves don't even come out to vote. So I think that if they are interested in policy formulation, the kind of policy that government gets to pass, if they are interested in mobilization for election, people go and vote. If people, bad leaders or people who don't want to rule bad governance only try when the electorate are not actively involved. So that's my take on the issue.
As we have been joined by Comrade Kelvin Isesele from China. Good evening to you. I believe it's evening over there in China.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
All right,
and good morning to you over there.
Remember vividly the role you've been playing, while in Nigeria then, in politics, and you've always been galvanizing for youth's inclusion in politics. But again, here we are, just like Ibrahim Momo said, power isn't given, it's rather taken. Now, do you see the Nigerian story? Because you were once here, and you're now in China. But do you see the Nigerian story as leaders even giving a template, for the young generation, the youths, to delve deeper into politics?
Well, as you know, it's rather unfortunate where we find ourselves as a nation that even at this level, people still believe power is not given, rather power is taken. To my understanding, even in my active participation in the electoral process. In fact, in 2024, I was the director of campaigns and central local government in 2024 governorship election for the Senator Monde Okpebholo campaign organization. I was the DJ of that campaign. In 2023, I was also the DJ of that campaign. I was appointed as project policy to the Edo State government in November last year before I resigned in January to face my business. One of the things I understand is this: power is not taken. Power is given by God and the people. Power is not something that you take by force. But in Nigeria, what we have today is that power is being taken by force. Power is being, a blood have to be shed before power can be taken. In my opinion, I disagree with that philosophy. And the only way we can get this right is to first have this ideology that power comes from God, number one, and by the people who willingly give you their vote and make you their leader. That is to say, power is given by God and the people. When you say power is taken, it erodes the tendencies of democracy. Power supposed to be used judiciously for the overall development of the people who are of the majority. But when it is taken, it will be used for the selective few, either those who smuggled a lot of money into the system or those who have the ability to kill for the system to exist. And where are the youth not actively participating? The youth are actively not participating because of what the first speaker at your studio said. We speak in line with our party direction. Even when our party is doing the wrong thing, as a youth, as far as you belong to that political party, you are meant to stand and defend what is wrong. How will such a youth be able to galvanize other youth to stop the political maltreatment the leaders of today are throwing at the youth? You can see what is happening in all the political parties today. Nobody, a responsible youth with a sound ideology, who have foresight and think widely, will never tell you that the ruling party hand is not to cripple oppositions in Nigeria, just for them to be dictating who gets what within their political party. And one thing they don't know, especially the youths, one thing they don't know, if you support the killing of opposition in every area, the time injustice will be meted on you in that particular party, you will not have anywhere to cry to. Let me give you an example. If you are supporting, like the other gentleman in the studio is saying, opposition did not put their house in order, I overheard him saying he is contesting an election, and the youth have rallied over him. If his party meted an injustice to him today, he has no option, he has no alternative. And the youth will only just shout and still fall back to the system. They will be forced to accept, to adopt, to campaign for the one that have been imposed on the people. And here we have no say. But if you allow a true democracy, if you allow a true participation, that the voice of the opposition is heard, when injustice is meted on you, you now have an opportunity to repair that injustice during the election, to let these certain leaders know that this candidate you have imposed on us will not fly, and it will not fly. But when you support a certain political party to disorganize other platform, other political party, indirectly or directly, you are clapping for it because it is your party that is in power that is doing it. You will not grow in that political party you are. You will be the victim, and tomorrow you be like, oh, what have I done to myself? I for once have been participating in our electoral system. I've campaigned, I've actively been involved, but I still don't agree that the current democracy, the current APC-led federal government at all levels, even at local government and state, are not helping democracy in Nigeria. We should call a spade a spade. They are not helping democracy in Nigeria.
Thank you, Comrade Kelvin Isesele. We will be back just after this short break, and we'll continue to interrogate what you just said. But we'll take a short break. Do stay.
Igbeniju Education Center.
This is Anegbete Community, situated in Isako Central Local Government Area of Edo State. It is an agrarian community with united people that promotes unity and oneness for peaceful coexistence. The inhabitants of the community migrated from Benin, the cradle of black civilization, a kingdom where king is truly king. The ancestors of Anegbete saw that age was the main determinant of leadership in the rural setting, and the eldest man in the settlement was regarded as the leader who presided over meetings, and his authority is held in high esteem. To further strengthen this unique system of leadership, age group evolved in Anegbete.
Still this morning on ITV, we still have our guest in the studio, and of course across the Zoom network. And, we have our guest in the studio here who is Honorable Jonathan Okosun, former councillor in Ubiaja 1 Southeast local government. Big thanks for sustaining your presence here. But you heard what Comrade Kelvin Isesele said as a result of the fact that even when the younger generation, the youths, want to come up during the elections, during primaries, the parties seem to galvanize around those who have money bags. And if that becomes the position where you started enthusiastically, you know, and in the long run, you are being told to sit down just because there's a money bag politician that, you know, wants to occupy the position that you are running for, how will you feel? Isn't that what the party that you belong to is into?
Yeah, I listened to him carefully, you know. Like I said, I was 25 years when I was councillor in the same party, the APC. Apparently, I was the youngest in Edo Central in my time. I was in 2018. You know, like I said earlier, social media is playing a lot of factor, you know, in our political space today. So the pressures are coming. You know, all our governors, they're on the internet. Our representatives, they're out there. They listen to the people compared to before. Now, me as an individual, you know, in the Just APC membership registration, I was a supervisor in my local government. I organized that exercise. So I ensured that younger people were registered in the party. Those
we understand all of this. But when it comes to the party choosing who is going to run for such an office, how do you go against that? Most especially when they are inducing voters, you know, inducing members of the party against you as a youth.
Yeah. I've equally highlighted earlier that I said this money politics is a factor that is affecting us. But what we are doing is not letting the people know the disadvantage when we sell our votes. And me as a youth, I took the bold step and I said that the people rose and stood by me, not because I've given them money. People need a leader they can follow. People need a leader they can follow. That is the truth. Now, the governor has said, even at the last Congress in those states, that nobody has been promised tickets, that everybody will go through the primary and it will be a direct primary. That is the position of the government and the party in those states. So I believe that they will honor their, you know, their words, and we'll go to the primaries. So if we go to the primaries, I have the confidence that the people are with me, and I'll be victorious.
Okay, let's see your contribution as we gradually tail it to an end on this segment. Let's get you, Ibrahim Momo. We have the 2027 elections inching closely. Now, what do you see as the role of the youths, you know, in owning this 2027 electoral process?
Okay, well, there are quite a number of issues the youth can do. Number one is primarily political mobilization. the youth population alone can determine the winner of any election in Nigeria. Only the youth can determine it. But because they have the population in terms of registered voters, by INEC data, 51% of registered voters are youths. You know, so it means that they have the overwhelming majority. And so the first challenge is political mobilization. Number two is about interest articulation. What are the youth? What do the youth want from candidates? And then they vote. It's not enough to just come out and vote. It's to vote for issues that have bearing on the youth population. For example, is it free education? Is it infrastructure development? Is it job creation? Properly articulated. Then you can now say which of the candidates at whatever level, whether it's councilship, it's a chairmanship, state assembly, or gubernatorial, senatorial, House of Rep, or presidency, all seven levels. Which candidate in what level is in the best position to mainstream the interest that the youth population have? The third point I think the youth can do is that they can put themselves up for contest, to vote, to be voted for. They can put themselves up to be voted for. Oftentimes, why we have that those who know what to do, those who have capacity to do things, are too afraid, too naive, or just not interested in contesting for offices. It is not that everybody who contests must win. For example, we have about 18 political parties. Only one of 18 candidates can win any particular position being contested for. The main fact that you are involved puts even the eventual winner on their toes, because it only takes a while. For example, before eventually some people will win. There are people who have contested elections, even in the advanced democracies. Abraham Lincoln is one. He contested all levels of elections and lost, but he never gave up until. So then when I see youth like Omoyele, who would have better off as a local government chairman, or maybe as an assembly member, or maybe as a friend member, want to be president. You don't even have the vote to win the governorship, want to be president of Nigeria, just because you want to hold the camera, or want to be on the media, want to be in the news. I think that also putting yourself up for positions that you are capable of winning. For example, the guest in the studio was a councillor. From there, he has gained visibility. Councillor is the lowest level of the seven. That's the lowest level. So I think that this is something that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you so much for your contribution on that. Appreciate it. Well, let's get to you, Comrade Kelvin Isesele from China. Are you still with us, please? Same question goes to you. Let's look at 2027 elections and what do you see as the role of the youth in changing the narrative?
Well, I don't see the Nigerian youth able to change the narrative in 2027. I do not foresee anything can still change. I'm not a prophet, but I do not be able to make things happen in 2027. But in the nearest future, I do believe we will be able to galvanize ourselves and have the choice of leaders we want as a people. So I offer no definite statement on 2027 because the current administration at the presidency, at the state level, at the local government level, at the world level, they are monopolized democracy to themselves, whereby ordinary participation is almost impossible, or even an attempt to have that looks like anonymity to the system. So until these things are ratified, until these things are set open, you cannot actually say much about 2027.
Calvin, please, let me quickly cut in. Calvin, let me quickly cut in. You're talking about monopolizing the process, and you are saying it cuts across the 3 tiers of government. Let's talk about Edo State, for instance, of which you also were a recipient of an appointment given by the governor of the state to you. Do you see this as doing justice for saying that?
I resign my appointment is because of some of these things I am talking about. I will not be in a government that I fought for as an opposition. And the same government is eliminating opposition through this. Because I am one who believe that power is just a matter of time accessing. My brother, Honorable Kosu, I know him, but he might not know me too well. As at the time he was councillor, I know him. But as he is now, he dare not challenge the system, even when the system is oppressing him. That is the reason you see most youth are turned themselves to
Thank you.
self-praisers. They just want to sing the praises of a leader just because they are in the system. I cannot be part of a system that will give you rights where the Nigeria do not permit.
Thank you very much, Comrade Calvin Isesele. Thank you very much for that contribution. Now, let's get your reaction in all of this, what he said. How do you appreciate what he said as regards the opposition, even within the party, that may want to, thwart one's dream in the process of moving forward in the political life?
I believe in life, you keep pushing. When you fall, you rise again.
Okay.
So until we get there. So I'm a driving force, and my struggle, I keep it to the finish. I'm not the kind of person that somebody will call along the line and say, come on, no, cannot happen. I have integrity that I've built for myself, and that's what is speaking for me. I know, like him from Comrade Kevin, I knew him from Facebook. He has been an active voice. Okay. I knew Kevin from Facebook.
Oh.
Yeah, and he has been very active in our politics until he resigned. So but I'm just hearing for the first time the reason why
he resigned.
Yes. So because I've not been able to reach out to him personally to find out. But what I'm saying is that,
And the reason why he resigned is still eminent in the party.
No, but he just says so. I didn't know that before. But what I'm saying is that...
And we just hope we don't have a bite of that.
No, I believe that it is God that gives power, like he said, and the people. So when I believe I have God and the people are with me, so I know that I'll do something different. So we are going to change the narrative because things are like this. I will not say because things are like this, we should not make a move, then things will continue to be like that. So I believe no one is too young to be the cause of change that he wants to see in the society. And that's why I avail myself to serve the people, not just in servitude, also in character and integrity. I talked about the third tenure agenda that people are against currently. Before you said you are vying for third tenure, at least you will show what you have done, your performance over the years. This is what people will look at what you have done to say, okay, this person has done well for us, let us give him the opportunity to go. You understand? So that's why I took the bold step and I said, the people are with me, and not because of money, but because they know that I can deliver.
All right, thank you. It's so impressive to know that as a youth, you are not standing down, but you are also moving forward to make sure that you, clinch closely, for a higher position. And I just wish you the best in all your endeavors.
Thank you.
And that's Honorable Jonathan Okosun, former councillor of Ubiaja-1 Southeast Local Government. And that's the much you can take on this. Big thanks, Comrade Calvin Isesele from China, for taking our time to be part of this. And of course, Ibrahim Momo, lecturer, Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma. We'll take a short break, after which Dominic Yemese will take off from where we left off in Abuja. Do stay.
Anegbete, age group is categorized into two, that is, the common and the noble. Anegbete is rich in cultural heritage, as the community at noon saw the commitment of the festival with the first set roll out in beauty colors to showcase their might and strength, indicating their feet and ready for the responsibilities behold on them. The streets in the community with a feed up of young men and women adorned with the festival. Later, the royal family takes the stage as their children fight out royally and work in the community to showcase their might and fitness.
My leader.
All right, you're still watching the program this morning on my TV, and I'm back to our Abuja. So we will be continuing with the discussion on politics, but this time around we'll be looking at political parties that are no longer as in opposition party, if you understand. That's where you describe some party about those are supposed to put sitting parties or ruling parties on their foot when it comes to democracy or governance. Whilst it is now in Nigeria, most parties are struggling to even survive, and that serious time. It's damaged or rather reduced or opened up. What all these or those in political powers are doing.
challenge, a crisis that was to have resolved, enough to linger for so long. It is doubly difficult to resolve it. The way it is, the PDP has a lot of work to do if they must work together, all the factions must come together and work together. And that is the problem we have been having with the opposition. That's the problem we have been having with the opposition. The problem of the fact that everybody wants to run for president, everybody wants to do it, instead of coming together to form a united front for this election to be able to win against the incumbent. But the way that the opposition is operating in the way the far corner cannot hear the far corner is kind of unfortunate. Even in the coalition that we have in the ADC currently, you need to see how many people are there that are there simply because they want to run for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If it is all about Nigeria, you can pick one, and every other person will support that one person. The most popular opposition candidate in that group should be the one they will put forward to be on the ballot, to be supported. But the opposition needs to be more united. Opposition needs to be more united. Opposition needs
we've gotten your opening remarks. Can we bring in our second guest now? Just a few seconds, Comrade Adebayo. We have Dr. Chinedu Obi, the National Chairman, National Rescue Movement, also joining us on this discussion. A very good morning to you, if you can hear.
Yeah, good morning, bro. I can hear you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, let's get your opening thought. Opposition party, where do you see Nigerian opposition parties as it stands now? Looking at what has been in the recent, the PDP, then we have the ADC, where the cause of the President and continue to tackle the APC, or rather the ADC, that they are misleading Nigerians with figures when it comes to economic matters. So much has been said. We know that there is no way democracy will progress if there are no formidable opposition. So give us your opening thought on this.
Okay, I totally agree with you that the democracy stands firm when you have credible alternative or what you call opposition. We have adopted a multi-party democracy. It enables us to find alternatives. Or otherwise, you have a one-party system where the party in power is unchecked. Now, but a young opposition gives the nation the alternative to choose from what it doesn't like to what it probably likes. So the situation today, unfortunately, you have levels of fragmentation, many issues within the opposition political parties that we're afraid that if nothing is quickly, we'll be giving the ruling party a free flow. But of course, this is politics. In politics, 24 hours is such a large time. Anything can happen anytime. They have, I call it, a disorganized opposition today, and by tomorrow they are united. And something the APC-dominated National Assembly had done, which they think is in their advantage, may suddenly work against them. The new Electoral Act is saying that once you submit your registered members to INEC 21 days before your primaries, anyone whose name is not in that list cannot vote or be voted for. It sounds like you're fighting the opposition, but I see that as maybe a rallying point, because you now box all the opposition to one space where they can't move. The implication then is that it might now have a reinforced opposition that will play the role it is expected to play. It's not yet completely bad as I see it today. Yes, politics, I always argue, is a struggle. Even in the APC, people think everything is Uhuru. It's not completely the case. If you look at their Congress recently, it was postponed at the early stage. Why was it postponed? It was postponed because they let the nomination forms open and everybody bought. And when everybody bought, they now realized that, look, if you don't control this, there's going to be a problem. And of course, you saw what happened. Even till today, you find people who are not happy with the way the thing went. I see a possible implosion coming up, and the opposition might be the barrier for it. So, yes.
Before we go back to Comrade Adebayo, you talked about the race to 2027, and 1 hour is not much for the us to start seeing changes. It has happened before. I know you can still predict Nigerian politics. We've seen that played out in the National Assembly before now. But most persons believe that the ruling party has been able to cause a fragment in most of the opposition parties, especially the PDP, we have the Labour Party and the rest of them. Do you think it's happening now is a way of muscling the opposition party so that they will now be players, or they will now dance to the tune of the sitting those in power? For instance, look at state governors are all decamping to the APC. We have just 2 months standing for the PDP. And most persons say it is because they have to rely on the states, or rather rely on the federal government for allocation. And you know what's happening now? Since the removal of the fuel subsidies, so much has been pushed to the state. And this, some persons say as a factor. Look, if you don't dance to the tune of the sitting administration, you might not get what is due to you as a state. I don't know if you see it from that perception before we go to Adebayo.
Well, what I see from the defection of governors to the ruling party is not necessarily because there's something too attractive in the APC that is pulling them. What I see is of self-survival, of this mindset that if I'm not here, maybe the system might not be as transparent to allow me win a good, in a context. So people are now pushing themselves into the ruling party, to survive. And I don't even also think that the idea of going to the ruling party is to enable development in the states, because with the removal of subsidy, more money has gone to the state, and some of the state governors obviously are doing very well. If you look at the state of Abia, a lot of persons have given credit to that governor. He's still not in the APC, but he's using the resources given to him effectively for his state and in some other states. So I don't succumb to the argument that the reason why they're moving in there is because they need to attract something more. It's just a mindset that there's this seeming situation that looks like, oh, the system will not be fair to all. Therefore, let me go where I can, take advantage of the system. But it's not yet, Uhura. I can assure you, in the last election when PDP held sway in 2015, you remember that with all the effort made by PDP, Nigerians rallied together and supported the APC to win. We have worse situation in the country today than compared to that period. And if you've been following my line of argument, I've always maintained that politics is such a serious business that should not be left in the hands of politicians alone. The entire political class constitutes less than 3% of our population. So the other 97% of Nigerians can rally together, rally around any political party that is not necessarily among the first two in our rating today, and then a new leader may emerge, because if each one vote counts, we have 97% of our population who are not members of political parties, who don't belong to any political party. All we need to do is rally around any other party that sells a vision that we think is good, not minding whether there's a conscious or unconscious balkanization of political parties, whether the fragmentation is deliberate or not. But we can find that in their proposal to Nigerians, in their manifesto to Nigerians, in their value proposition, there are better alternatives. I think Nigeria.
Let's bring in Adebayo, Dr. Obi, so that you can react to some of your points there. Comrade Adebayo, if you can hear me, is it a process for survivor or try to win the next election?
The issue of the campaign.
State governors decamping. We've seen that as it stands now, we have just two political parties. PDP has just two governors. Then we have one in Abia, for the Labour Party.
another one in Osun State. You see, the two governors remaining in PDP is likely to remain only one. Even the only one to probably migrating somewhere. You know, the major reason for these decampments here and there by senators, by House of Reps members, by governors, and by other politically exposed persons is due to the transactional nature of Nigerian politics. The Nigerian politics is majorly transactional, not ideologically based. It is because it's not ideologically based, the reason why people can drop their party today and do another one tomorrow and move from another. Look at some of the people in the opposition. You can see this political nomadism. The political nomadism of moving from one party to the other, drop this one, go this one. It's because Nigerian politics is basically, transactional and not ideological. And that's quite unfortunate. You don't see people dumping in advanced democracies. Of course, our own is still, still developing. In advanced democracies, you don't wake up tomorrow and hear that somebody in the Labour Party yesterday has become the Conservative Party. It's very rare. It's just about less than 5% of that kind of political movement. You don't wake up one day and see somebody who was in the Republican Party yesterday or last month or last year has come to the Democratic Party. No, it doesn't happen that way. Maybe it's because we are just developing, but it is not. It doesn't go well for democracy. It is the reason why the opposition has been coming under severe criticism, because they see us as an unserious group of people. Just recently, Professor Odin Kalu called the opposition, said opposition forces are a disgrace. Recently, one of your colleagues, a news anchor on the ICF, called the opposition a coalition of unserious people, a coalition of jokers. That's Rufai Hosseini. It is because we are not being proactive enough. In political anthropology, there is something they call scenario mapping, scenario analysis, and then scenario demo. You have to be proactive. It is not today that they have we have to find a way. The opposition needs to be strategically above board to find a way to beat this system, the kind of system that the APC is bringing about, to make sure they frustrate opposition activism and opposition preparations. These things can be beaten. All we need to do is to ensure we are on top of our games in terms of strategy, in terms of mobilization, in terms of contact with the grassroots mobilization. It should not be that I am of the opinion that rather than rushing to register members into opposition political parties, now this thing should have started long ago. Knowing that the APC will have something up their sleeve, we know that they are not likely to allow everybody to just to leave the political terrain undisturbed like that. So we should have prepared for all this. It should not be when we are giving ultimatum that people started, opening online registration portals. It should have started. Nobody stops the opposition from registering members since after the 2023 general election. Knowing what happened then, we should know that the current party in power, we have one or two things to do. There should have been a scenario mapping ahead, thinking ahead, and preparing ahead, and being proactive to be able to mitigate some of these things that are.
As we move forward, Comrade Adebayo, let's look at 2027. It's less than 10 months, and we'll start. Preparations are already in top gear. We see INEC has released timetable for some of the elections and for political parties to start organizing primaries, just like what is happening already in some parties have held their wards election. Now, let's look at the implication of what implication would this be to the conduct of 2027 election if we keep having opposition parties being muzzled to one side. Secondly, you are a member of the coalition. If you cast your mind back to where late President Muhammadu Buhari came on board on APC, we saw it was a coalition of different political parties, about 3 or 4 of them that came and formed that coalition and gave PDP a run for its money. Do you see that happening if PDP, that is said to be the biggest opposition party, collapses? Do we have faith in a coalition that will give APC a run for its money in 2027?
naturally, one will expect that should have been what will happen. I would have been happier for that if that's what will happen. Because I cannot imagine, under this type of dispensation, for the APC to be in the opposition and be behaving the way the opposition is behaving now. We need to be more effective and be more proactive. I keep saying that. There are a lot of things that it should have been better. Let me say this. I'm not a member of the obedient movement. I'm not an obedient. But if you look at the coalition, the ADC coalition today, the most popular opposition presidential aspirant in this country today, unarguably or even arguably, is Peter Obi, in my own opinion. Anywhere, any north, south, or anywhere that you go today, Peter Obi remains the most popular opposition presidential aspirant in this country today. Why can't all other presidential hopefuls and aspirants in the coalition step down for him and, collectively support this one man and get this one man on the ballot, bring in more opposition political parties, carry them along, and have this man, and then back this man and support this man for this 2027 election as the APC.
Okay, and sincerely, because of time, we may have to bring in Dr. Obi for him to give us his reaction. If we should be seeing a change in 2027, what role can the coalition parties or coalition party plays to give APC a run for its money in the next election?
Like I said earlier, we still have ample time. I still believe that they'll act together. We have a few months to primaries. Once a candidate emerges, a credible candidate emerges among the opposition political parties, I'm sure the opposition can still rally themselves around. And I keep maintaining that the larger opposition should not be seen from the partisan political parties. Nigerians are the ones at the receiving end. They are the ones that will determine who wins or not. They should not bother so much about whether the opposition has organized itself so much or not, knowing that most of what is happening to the opposition is around. It's not necessarily the opposition can put itself together. There are some that are making sure that the opposition don't work together. Leaders who are the receiving end should support the opposition, whether they are strong or not, to make sure that they change the government so that we begin to force ruling government to give Nigerians what they. If we wait for all the opposition to align themselves properly, and I can assure you, if opposition is strong today and Nigerians refuse to vote for them, it won't work. So I plead on Nigerians who are the ones suffering insecurity, suffering hunger, unemployment, poor economy, to be the ones to be the deciders of what will happen in 2027.
But the challenge we have, if you can hear me, is the issue of ideology, just like Adebayo raised earlier. Most persons do not even understand the ideology of most of the political parties. If you are talking of Nigerians coming out to support particular political parties, we don't know the ideology. Are we being ruled by ideologies or the financial gains?
We're actually ruled by ideology. We're actually ruled by ideology. Almost all political Nigeria took their ideology and a manifesto, a second chapter of the Constitution, that the diversity principle of state policy. That's where most of the parties, even though that thing is not justiciable, which is what many of us think that if we say you're going to give education, what happens? If you're going to give us health, what happens? Assuming that has happened, show you that the political party is based. The challenge is that most of the politicians themselves are transactional. They don't even sit down to think about these ideologies. Like the National Rescue Movement, we're talking about a social justice system that will be governed under a rule of law for peace, productivity, and shared prosperity. This is what drives the National Rescue Movement. The PDP and APC have really not got a clear-cut ideological difference, which is why it's always easier for someone to move from there to the other. They are basically the same people. But whether there's ideological base, yes, there are some political parties, the NRM, the PRP, quite a good number of PPP parties that, if you look at the ideology, they are enshrined. And if it is from these parties I mentioned, it's difficult for somebody who moves from that party to any of these other parties because they are driven by their ideologies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinedu Obi, the National Chairman of the Rescue Movement. Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning on the program.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Nigerians.
All right, let's get Adebayo, Comrade Adebayo, for your last thoughts as we wrap up this very segment. Can you hear me, Adebayo?
Well, yes, I can hear you. Okay. My conclusion to be that the opposition should not waste its energy on blaming APC for everything that is happening in the opposition. We should just concentrate on developing effective countermeasures against whatever we believe is being done against us. It's not to just sit down and playing the blame game. We should learn. How did the APC? How was the APC playing its opposition activism when it was not in power? Yes, we may not be comfortable with some of the things they are doing, but we are not doing now. We are mobilizing. We cannot just sit on social media and thinking that Nigerians will listen to us. We have to mobilize the grassroots. We need to talk to the people. We need to mobilize the masses. We need to, let the people be aware of the inefficiencies and the incompetencies of this government. Yes, everybody is suffering the socioeconomic pain from this government, but are we doing enough as opposition to rally the people around our own alternatives? What alternatives are we providing for the people? And then I keep saying, a divided house cannot stand. The opposition needs to come together in order to be stronger, in order to be more effective, and in order to be more focused. If you have a divided house, there's no way you can get anything done. And I don't know. It's not. It doesn't go well. And even ineffective opposition is as bad as a bad government.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that last thought. Of course, divided house can together. That was your last take from Comrade Mark Adebayo, National Spokesperson for Coalition of United Political Party, CUPP. Thank you again for joining us. All right, we'll quickly join our Lagos studio for the continuation of the program this morning on ITV. It's Patricia.
Center for the continuation of TMI. I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels. Of course, it is a Tuesday morning, a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Lagos, and we're going to be looking at the double political party registration. And there's a penalty for that. Is the penalty reasonable or just another political play out in the nation? Of course, we know that 2027 elections are drawing very close, and then the politicians are beginning to do their thing. When we say their thing, we know that at this time everybody is trying to, be responsible a politician and hook up to a party where he thinks he will win election or he's fully recognized. And a lot of buhaha has been going on in our political sector here in Nigeria, especially with the ADC not being given the opportunity to display or give the opportunity to gather and have their own programs. They've been being attacked, like starting from the Port Harcourt attack. Their offices were burned down in Port Harcourt, and then we saw very recently in Calabar, where they were not allowed to gather together. And we also saw what happened in Benin, what played out in Benin. So we are asking, don't we deserve to have opposition party in Nigeria? Anyway, welcome again to TMI from our Lagos Network Center. And so today, to look at all of these, I'm going to be having with me Ogenchukwu Kama Osiebu. Ogenchukwu Kama Osiebu is the managing director, Run Ola Group of companies, and he is also a political analyst. And I must let you know, he's a youth. He will speak more for the youths of. There's a penalty that has been set out for this double party registration, or is just a politics. So let me begin in it. Explain to Nigeria what double political registration in Nigerian framework.
Yes, the registry to do a two-part, main leg, one leg out. I'll take it angles. First of all, you take it from the common Nigerian now has the ability to actually register for a party and actually pick who would actually represent them at every stage of the election. So before now, it used to be delegates and super delegates. We used to hear about delegates going to Abuja, and then they are the ones who pick who represents the APC or any other party. However, now, with the new Electoral Act, I can go and register as an APC member or as an ADC member and actually vote in the primaries for who I want to represent me in the election. In political terms, it means that a politician now has to run two different elections, because now he no longer has to play with that elite political class, but now he has a wider base to actually play politics first in his party before he then goes to the general election. However, also on the politician side, you are only allowed to join one party, unlike times where we would hear that somebody lost their primaries here and then decamped to somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
Now it's just you stay in one party. If you lose there, that is the end of your political journey. Good. You cannot jump to another party and go and take a ticket and run again.
Okay, but we have Wike, the minister of the FCT minister, who we can say is playing double political parties membership, because he's neither in the PDP nor is in APC. What do you describe that situation as?
So I would say Wike is a political unicorn, in the sense that he is clearly a PDP member. You can see that he's very involved in internal dealings of the PDP with what is happening between the factions in the PDP. However, he has the favor of the APC. But if you notice, he doesn't play internal politics of the APC at all. He clearly stays within his realm in the PDP, but at the same time knows that he has friends in the APC that are in the executive or in the legislative, but you don't see him in the inner workings of the party. You don't see him asking who's the secretary and trying to play the inner workings of the politics of the APC. But in the PDP, that's where he's active.
In the PDP, there's where he's active, but in the politicking for APC, he's actually very active if we take a look at what happened in Abuja local government elections. I mean, because he was all out for the APC. It was obvious. We all saw it. So what's your take on that? So
Nigeria is a place where, as a politician, you must do what would make you survive. Wike understands that the PDP is a broken faction, it's a broken party right now, and we can see that there's only two governors that are actually active, Bala Mohammed and Makinde. So he knows that that party is broken. So for him to be able to have the political goodwill of the president, he must deliver the APC regardless. But as a smart politician, he knows that he can still play with the politics of the PDP to be let's call it a spoiler. Let's call it that.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Some critics say the enforcement of these rules could be politically motivated. Do you think this consign is valid?
I don't think so. Generally, about what's coming out, the first thing that we think of is it politically inclined? Is there a witch hunt to it? However, in this type of scenario, I believe that it actually adds just a layer of clarity and a layer of transparency, in the sense that now politicians can't play that game anymore. They can't go one place and then go somewhere else, which actually removed credibility from our political system in the past. But now that this law is in place, it stops that. Again, Nigeria is a place where you can create a law, but the enforcement of it is where the problem
lies. So in your view, are these laws reasonable or sufficient to deter political manipulations?
Again, it's down to enforcement. You're telling somebody, a politician that is a multi-billionaire, that's 2 years in prison or 10 million naira. But more importantly, in that amendment that was passed by the House, we must actually tell people it hasn't been passed by the Senate and the President. So it's not a law yet, but it's been passed by the House. And in that one scenario, it said that you will be voided in both parties. So that creates that is where the real punishment is. It's not in the 10 million now or the 2 years. It is in that one fact that if you're caught doing this, you are voided in both parties. So that is the end of your journey.
Okay. Looking ahead of 2027, it's drawing near, it's very close, you know, and activities in the political parties have started happening. What impact could this issue have on political alliance and party strategies?
Again, like I said, this comes down to Nigerian politics is very expensive. Now, before you had a limited amount of delegates to actually work with. Now, let's use the ADC as an example. Let's just say Peter Obi actually we expect him to actually go forward for the presidential slot. If he goes forward and an article goes forward, now you're allowing the whole country to register as ADC. Now, he has to play politics of every single geopolitical zone. Online before, where it was just delegates. Now he has to play towards the northeast, the northwest, and the south, everywhere. So if we look at how normal elections run out, he may not be able to secure that vote. What we in the general have to think about in the party structure, within the party primaries. So it's for lack of a better word, leads you to run 2 separate elections, which is 2 major expenses for you. And again, most of these politicians before now were only thinking, okay, I only have to deal with the delegates, which are basically your political gatekeepers. If you play your politics there, and it's fine. But now the jack on the road is an ADC member. So you have to find a way to secure his vote as well. So everybody that registers as an ADC member online has the right to pick who they want to represent ADC.
Oh, really? That's how it works now?
That's how it works.
Okay, let's deviate a little from today's topic. We're going to be coming back to this topic. Let's talk to you as a youth. What are the expectations of Nigeria youths in the forthcoming elections?
Credibility. As the youth, I believe we cannot think short term, because one day we would be the elders of society. So what we want is credibility. We want a process that is credible, where we know that when we go to the polls and we pick somebody, the pictures of those forms that are taken at the polling unit, when they're added up, it actually leads to the candidate that we thought will win. However, what is actually happening is, I believe the youth aren't really taking the right view of politics actually. What do I mean? I believe politics in Nigeria has become very grandeur in a sense. We all think about the president and the governors, but your local government chairman, your councillors, they have allocations now. They are given money by the federal government. So you're meant to hold them accountable. You're meant to be active in that level. Your House of Rep member, those are the people that are active, that are actually representing you, and they're touching distance from you. So as the youth, I believe credibility is one in the long term, but active participation in the lower ranks of politics, because it's those lower people that would eventually become your president in 20, 30 years. So if you can pick properly in your local government, which is maybe 5,000, 10,000 people, and you're active there, then there's no way that in the future the system will not become credible, because if the system is producing the right people in those lower ranks, because the youth are asking the right questions and are actually challenging people, then the president in 20, 30 years' time would be a product of that system. But the system needs to be corrected from the lower ranks rather than this grandeur, oh, what is the president? How can we influence? Those type of politics are a bit too big for us right now.
Okay. With the body language of the ruling party right now, do you think they're giving the youth the opportunity to express themselves and, you know, really play this kind of politics that you are just talked about?
Honest to God, I believe that they do, but we don't actually, we're not active. Your local government chairman, yes, he must have been handpicked by the godfather or whatever, but at the end of the day, that election is only about 5,000 people. If you're actually going and canvassing for those people, then you would make a change. It's the same in Abuja, for example. ADC picked a candidate that wasn't very, ADC picked a candidate that wasn't very popular. Wike came out and said it. He said that APC picked a candidate that was actually an Abuja indigene. That was why that election swayed the way it did. Now, most people will think, oh, yes, there was manipulation and whatever, but the politics that happened to produce that ADC candidate was not well thought out, and it was a youth. Mm-hmm. It was a youth at the end of the day. So in that sense, you need that organization in the lower ranks. The APC would, obviously, the Senate, the president, the governors, all of them will return. But what are we actually saying about the House of Rep members? It's two federal constituencies. Mm-hmm. So 2 local governments produce 1 rep member. Mm-hmm. If you're active there, you can make a change.
Well, this is the change that all Nigerians want to see. But believe me, I think some Nigerians would not want to agree with you, because especially the youths, they will say they are active, but I know that they are active on social media. Do you think being active on social media can bring this change that the youths want?
The best way to explain it is social media is a flame, but it's not engine. It lights up certain topics and it makes people more, like, take example 2023. It was a moment where everybody learned and became slightly political conscious because of the obedient movement. Mm-hmm. But how many of us actually still care about it today? Not many of us. Only when the topic comes up again on social media do you then fall back and then go and read about it. But are you actively thinking, are you actively looking long-term into Nigeria's political landscape and seeing what is going on? Social media is nice for spreading of information and misinformation, to be very honest, but it is not an engine of where political change will actually happen, to be very honest.
Social media.
Yes.
So what do you think, or how do you think the youths of today should play politics and the government of today will listen to them?
Ooh. We tried it in NSAS. We tried it in NSAS and it didn't.
And that didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't turn out too well for us. So again, ideally to me, I would love a youth party that is actually led by somebody that is credible, first of all, but has the mindset of what I spoke about, where take a local government and go and run an election in local government and putting somebody credible there and let the person do well. And from that local government, let the person grow to be a House of Rep member. Grassroots politics is where the Nigerian elite, political elite, control. They have a structure. When they talk about structure, it means that they have it from the grassroots. Yeah. So the only way to remove that political structure is to go down to the grassroots and start from scratch, start from a credible councillor that becomes a local government chairman. And again, social media. Brand him properly, spread him around, let people know that, oh, in this local government in, let's just say example, Kogi State, there is this local government chairman that came through this party that did the right thing and actually is doing something politically conscious. Now that would awaken more people in more places to try their luck and to actually join this political party and start from the grassroots and go up.
My concern is the concern of majority of Nigeria. They are complaining that this political leaders and political that want in politics does not give them the opportunity to start from the grassroots, just outlined.
To be very honest, they're correct. The older politicians, the old guard don't want to go. Just let's take, for example, the Senate. The Senate is looking like a retire home for ex-governors. But it's the Senate, when back in time, is a place for conversation. It's for just go and have your prayer. It is electoral to show push people forward. But again, Nigeria is not a place where you take a short-term view to the problems at start. I started by saying one day we're going to be sitting, I'm going to be the old talking to the long-term view of what the change will, because it's not 8 years, it's not 16 years. We're looking at about 24 years where we want this change to be. If you're thinking in 27, you're just going to, put everything possible. But these have an expiry date, sorry to say, and they're going to go at some point. We need to start to strategize for that can take advantage of when that fall happens, and then we can chuck our head inside.
Let's look at the obedience movement. The obedience movement is mainly made up by the youths. You know, most youths in Nigeria are the ones powering the obedience movement. But there's this, we also have Rotimi Amechi, who is also looking into that. So, but the youths are saying if the ticket is not given to Peter Obi, they back out. What's your take on that?
So I believe that they found it, so not that Peter Obi is unblemished, but they found a credible person that they want to get behind. Again, the obedient movement is one that, if we look at the political journey or the political landscape of Nigeria, we do realize that after 2027, when it shifts back to the north, that's the end of Peter Obi's political journey. After 2027, if he does not become president of Nigeria, there is no other chance for him to become, because in 2031, it is the turn of the north. We must be very, as youth, you don't try and break a system that's been in place for many years. It will go to the north. Now, with that happening, what then happens to the obedient movement after? So you must, that's why I said we must organize first as a body, because at the end of the day, there's a reason why politicians go to old retired teachers to go and politic with them, because they're a voting bloc. If the youth don't understand that they can come together as a voting bloc and have a decision and take a stand, it doesn't matter the person, because when the obedient move, when Peter Obi stops in 2031, are you going to say there's no Peter Obi, I will not vote? No, it can't work that way.
It can't work that way. Let's come back to our main topic of today. Our main topic of today, we're looking at double political party registration. And so, do you believe Nigeria's electoral body has the technology and the administrative capacity to properly dictate and prevent multiple registration?
So I like how you broke that down, technological or administrative. So technologically...
Whichever way you want to break it down.
Technologically, the House did say that they are in sync. So parties have now had to sync with INEC to actually have one database. But it is the administrative that the problem is, because it means that the data needs to be cleaned and constantly checked between both sides, because you need to have all your APC registration and compare it to your ADC registrations. So they do have the capability. Their budget was billions of naira, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it. But again, everything comes down to political will. Will they actually look into the people that they're meant to look into, or are they just going to overlook certain people and allow it go?
Well, I'm not going to speak on that. I'm not going to speak on that. You should be telling us if that's, well, anyway, let's leave it at that. Okay, so what reforms would you recommend to make electoral registration system more transparent and trustworthy?
I think they're on the right path. The use of we're not just going to go out write it at a place. We're actually registering online. We're getting digital IDs and everything. But the only reform would be transparency. Nigeria needs to move away from this party alliance to a more political ideology. Ideally, if you look at America, if you look at any country, it is maybe a conservative side against a liberal side. Nigeria is more about just, I'm an APC person today, I can switch the other way. So when we reach that point, it will be much easier to do this. But in everything that they're doing, if you pick whatever side, wherever place you pick, you're able to then move in that direction, I guess.
In your view, do you think the INEC is ready for the forthcoming election?
I think they're very ready, because their budget says that they're ready.
Their budget says they're ready, but the movements, are they ready?
Again, comes down to political will. We had that in Edo State. We saw cancellations on paper. We've passed
Exactly.
that.
So that's why I'm asking. We saw it too in FCT.
Yes.
At the ready, we saw where ballot papers were snatched.
The truth is that they can do it. It's just, will they do it? They have them. That's why I keep on bringing their budget. Their budget is enough to put five INEC officials at every single polling unit. They have Starlink. We all know that we have Starlink. Worst come to worst, somebody hotspots the device and you upload it. But the question is, will INEC announce actual summations that were taken at the polling unit, or will they take it back to the collation center and manipulate? So at the end of the day, it comes down to, will the INEC chairman, the new one, do what is right?
Well, we hope that he does what is right. That's what Nigerians are looking up to. Anyways, how do other democracies handle the issues of multiple party registration or party switching?
So different countries have different ways of handling it. So if you look at the US has a situation where whatever party you register for to vote for the primaries, that's why we have the DNC and all of that, that is what is then passed on to the database for voter registration. However, most countries don't have this penalty that was passed. I believe this penalty was more of a deterrent to the common man and the politicians. Again, because they have ideologies, there's no reason why Democrats would accept the Republican is really a beautiful damsel in distress or a beautiful bride. Would they go and vote for a Republican? They're most likely going to vote for a Democrat because of their ideologies. But what you have in Nigeria is a situation where there is no ideological difference.
I was going to ask you that. Have we gotten to that level in Nigeria? Do we have ideology? Do we have people wanting to vote for a particular person because of his ideologies, or we're voting because, pardon me to use APC, is an APC member, and I am an APC person, or religion or tribe? So which one are we?
We're still way back because we don't have one for that affecting that people are becoming more, even with this current situation that's happening, people are becoming more cognizant that whoever I vote for actually affects my everyday life. Before, people weren't really thinking politics was part of their everyday life because I guess the economy was okay and everything. But now people are saying that 8 years of Buhari, you were in your prime. So someone that was born at 22, someone that was 22 when Buhari entered, worked for 8 years and was 30 when he was leaving. That is your prime years, and the economy was not moving at the pace that it moved during Goodluck. So that kind of person has now opened his eyes to say, oh, whoever I vote for or the fight I take during the elections would actually affect me and my family's life and generations to come.
Well, I hope that the voters know who they want to vote for and are ready to get someone that could change whatever they are expecting, from the politicians. And we hope they don't vote because of tribe or religion. Anyways, let's move on quickly. The final words. What message would you like to leave with Nigerians as political preparations towards the 2027 elections as a youth? What message do you want to leave out for the youth of Nigeria today?
Get involved in your local politics. Know who your local government chairman is. Know who your House of Rep member is. And call them. Their numbers, a lot of them, some of them are public.
Let me come in here again. A lot of people say the numbers are public, but they don't ever get response. So let's be honest about it. Yes, the numbers are public. I have tried it too, but it's not all of them, but most of them don't pick their calls.
I agree with that.
Good.
Well, it's worth a try.
So go ahead, please.
It's worth a try. But get involved in your local politics. Most of these local government chairmen, their terms are about, I think, 3 years. So when next the local government election is happening, get involved and know who your councillor is and who your local government chairman is. Why? Because they are getting allocations. So it's not like before where it was passing through the state. They're getting allocations straight from the federal. So they should be held accountable for certain things that are happening in your direct community. Rather than breaking your head about the Tinubu or the senator or the governor, there are things that the local government are responsible for in a community. And in the system that we actually practice, the local governments are the ones that are closest to the people and are meant to be held accountable. So let us start from there and actually start to make the change there before we start to think of the bigger people.
Okay. Quickly before we go, we have just a few seconds. Before we go, I know you're putting up something together for the youth. Are you trying to use it as a political ideology for the youth in the forthcoming 2027 elections? Quickly.
No, all I want is for the youth to actually take an active learning in politics. I believe that we, as youth, as young people in general, down to the children, they should understand. Our parents knew who I talked to my parents and they knew who the military general at the top was, who the second in command, who the third in command. Right now, we don't have that information. We just know, oh, this is the president, this is the vice president. You can ask most of you, they don't even know who
the local government chairman is or whoever is representing them
in the House of Rep. So, and that's who your representative. So I just want a political education that flows all the way down and people actually start to learn, because it is political education now that leads to political consciousness in 20 years.
Thank you so much again for having the time to come here. And I hope the fuel thing did not affect you. Of course, it won't affect you. Anyway, we hope to see you again for the continuation of what we're talking about today. Thank you so much, my viewers out there, for joining us this morning. Thank you, as usual, for tuning in to ITV to watch the program TMI. I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels.
The Ugia
beautiful morning. Welcome to the news update on Independent Television. I am Ahoy Davis. The Vice Chairman of the Board of ITV and Radio and former Governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Igbenedion, has commended the management of Independent Television and Radio for sustaining the station's reputation as one of the leading broadcast organizations in Nigeria, particularly in the South-South region. Chief Igbenedion gave the commendation on Monday when the management team of ITV and Radio, led by the Managing Director, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, paid him a courtesy and appreciation visit. Efonsa Nwangwe reports.
The visit was to express appreciation to the Vice Chairman for his consistent support to the station over the years, including his role in facilitating the rebuilding of the Bond administrative block at the nation's communication complex in Igosa, Oloko, Benin City. In his remarks, Chief Lucky Igbenedion described ITV and Radio as a flagship media organization that many Nigerians rely on for credible information and for setting the standard for societal development.
The administrative building. If your environment is not conducive to work, your output is very low. But one thing I know, or that I've observed in our client, we lack maintenance culture. We must change that attitude. We must learn to maintain what is around us. You don't have to wait for a cleaner to come and sweep before you pick a piece of paper or plastic bottle off the ground, if you see it. Because once you as a manager is doing that, the junior staff will automatically follow your footsteps.
He also expressed satisfaction with the steady growth and progress of the station as it prepares to mark its 29th anniversary celebration, scheduled for April 15, 2026.
Now you are going to get a robust working environment in terms of that administrative, the way you can have your offices and also this theater, which I'm glad to say you are going to put to good use. Because that is what will also draw the crowd to you, the theater. When you are going to do live activities, programming, broadcasting, we were saying once a month. I'm sure with time it will turn to once a week.
Speaking earlier, the managing director of ITV and Radio, Engineer Elvis Obaseki, said the visits became necessary in recognition of Chief Igbenedion's immense support and encouragement, which have contributed significantly to the station's continued expansion and achievements in the broadcast industry.
A couple of months back, what we would have termed as a negative and unpleasant incident happened at communication complex in Oloko, when the fire gutted media. But after your visit, and on the 2nd of November at our retreat, you made a pronouncement that you will give us back the building that we lost. Our expectations was not what we are seeing there now. And in the course of also planning towards the use of that gift that you have given on to us, we found out that we cannot have the theater that we never planned for us at the last quarter of 2025 and not think of how to use it. The idea of having the theater in that building was entirely yours.
The managing director was accompanied on the visit by members of the management team, including the Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Lady Celerina Ojomo, Executive Director Operations, Chief Elder Ugbede Uwonse, Director of Radio, Pastor Dan Omosusi, and General Manager Special Duties, Abiodun Mudashiru, among other senior staff. From Benin, Efosa Nwangwe, ITV News.
Family members, education stakeholders, and well-wishers have gathered at the hall of Nosakari College of Education in Benin City for an academic commendation service in honor of the late president and founder of the institution, Elder Nosakari Egobamir. The ceremony celebrated the life and legacy of the renowned educationist, widely remembered for his contributions to education and institutional development in Edo State and beyond. Ofere Aneto has details.
Born in 1931 in Benin City, Edo State, the late Elder Nosakhaye Egobamien built a distinguished career as an educationist, entrepreneur, and institution builder whose passion for learning impacted generations of students and scholars. At the commendation service, speakers described him as a visionary leader whose commitment to education led the foundation for institutions that continue to shape lives. In his citation, Dr. Michael Osasui remembered the late educationist as a lover of knowledge and a visionary administrator dedicated to advancing transformative learning.
Dr. Ambassador Elder Daniel Nosakhaye Egobamien exemplified the scholar administrator whose vision transcended personal accomplishment and found expression in enduring systems.
Delivering a sermon titled When Our Days on Earth Are Over, the officiating minister, Reverend Moore Wadiani, reminded the congregation of the brevity of life, urging attendees to live purposefully and leave meaningful legacies for future generations.
Look at Baba's vestiges. Look at the efforts of a great man. Our actions, our attitude, our character must be such that we reflect Christ in all we do.
Family members and associates also paid glowing tributes to the late founder, his first daughter and provost of Nosakhaye College of Education. Dr. Mercy Omobudi described him as a devoted father, mentor, and educationist whose ideas continue to guide the institution he established.
My father believed deeply in the transformative power of education. His vision was never limited to the establishment of schools alone. Rather, he desired to raise generations.
We will miss Baba Egobamien, but we celebrate the 95 years of light which he brought into the world that so desperately needs it.
He gave food, nourishment through bread, through businesses. He empowered people.
Late Ambassador Dr. Egobamien was a man of many parts, whose impact transcended borders.
The commendation service ended with prayers in honor of the late educationist and a minute of silence as attendees reflected on a life dedicated to learning and service. From Benin, Ofuri Aneta, ITV News.
The membership of the All Progressives Congress, APC, of Pamari chapter in Akoko-Edo local government area of Edo State have endorsed Honorable Paul Afagase Johnson as their choice candidate for the Akoko-Edo Federal Constituency in 2027 general election. Edo North Bureau Chief MacDonald Ironohar, who was at the enlarged meeting of the Pamari sons and daughters, where the decision was taken, reports.
A leader of the APC in the area, Honorable Harry Ekudayo, addressing the huge crowd of party members from Akoko-Edo North and South, drawn from several wards, attributed their decision to queue behind Honorable Paul Afagase Johnson to the urgent need to attract people-oriented developmental projects to the area.
Youth, women, stakeholders across the Akoko-Edo North constituency will proudly and unanimously endorse our song, Paul Johnson Afagase. When I say Afagase, you say forward. Afagase!
Another leader of the party, Priest Oluchi Augustin Afolabi, showed encomium on Honorable Paul Afagase Johnson for his good attitude to the people, assuring that he will do more when the people elect him as a federal legislator.
We are confident that he possesses the experience, capacity, and vision required to provide effective representation and attract meaningful development to the entire Akoko-Edo Federal Constituency.
A motion for the endorsement of Honorable Paul Afagase Johnson, aspiration to represent the good people of Akoko-Edo Federal Constituency seat at the House of Representatives, was finally moved by Honorable Ashifo Eric JP and seconded by Mrs. Joseph Agbogu with a massive support from the crowd.
Come 2027, our dear son, Paul Afagase, will represent us.
Let us come together and fight for our rights so that our brother, Honorable Paul Afagase,
can become a winner.
The meeting ended with a pledge by all present to return to their wards, mobilized for the success of Honorable Paul Afagase Johnson at the poll. From Ibilo in Akoko Edo local government area of Edo North, McDonald Irunokai, ITV News.
Acting Chairman of ASEAN Central Local Government Council, Honorable Kelvin Iyere, has presented the 2026 appropriation bill of 10,048,657,513 naira 50 kobo to the Legislative Assembly for consideration and passage. Honorable Kelvin Iyere said the budget is in line with Governor Opevolo's Shine agenda. Jonah Omarowa has details.
The focus of the 2026 budget of Eastern Central Local Government Area, according to the Acting Chairman, Honorable Kelvin Iyere, is designed to consolidate on the achievements of the previous budget and the Shine agenda of the state government, which includes security, infrastructure, health, education, and agriculture. Given the breakdown of the budget, the Eastern Central Acting Chairman said special consideration was given to the expected earnings from the Federation account.
Capital expenditure based on sectors, administrative sectors, 50 million. Economic sector, 2,589 million. Law and justice sectors, 5 million. Social sectors, 217 million. Total capital expenditure, 2,861 million. Total budget size, 10,488,657,513 naira and 57 kobo.
The leader, Eastern Central Legislative Arm, Honorable Famous Abanehita, assured speedy consideration and passage of the bill to ensure development and service delivery across the local government.
As legislators, we are fully committed to a robust, thorough, and speedy review of this budget estimate. We pledge to work hand in hand with the executive and to ensure this budget serves the best interests of the people.
Some stakeholders commended the acting chairman for presenting people-oriented budget.
For project is project-driven, and in line with the Shine agenda, he's working. We can see that Edo is shining.
Today has actually marked the beginning of so many good things to come. By this budget, we enjoy the dividend of democracy like never before. We are praying that you get the resources to execute this budget.
The 2026 Eastern Central Local Government Area budget is tagged Budget of Transformation. From Eastern Central Local Government Area, Jonah Omowa, ITV News.
This is where we'll call it a wrap on the news update on Independent Television. Thank you so much for watching. I am Ihoy Davis. Good morning.
ITV. ITV, certainly the best.
Where is the final ceremony of the series of festivals? It is one of peace and lightheartedness, following the more solemn of the ritual year. Ugewe is the first.
Good morning. This is CMI Socials. Welcome on board. I am Anuoluwapo Stevens. So better still call me a social media butterfly. Now, this morning, we begin on a sad note in Borno State, where multiple blasts yesterday struck Maiduguri city, the capital of Nigeria's insurgency hit northern east state of Borno. Now, with several people feared killed, the state governor and resident did state videos circulating online showed emergency responders at a Maiduguri hospital attending to injured people. So some were torn, and of course the news has it that all of the videos online still circulating is incredibly horrible. Well, Borno State Governor Babaganam Zulum, in a statement, he did state that the explosion had claimed victims and injured many people without elaborating or saying who was responsible. Anyway, take a look at the video.
Subhanallah. Again, bomb Monday market in Zaka presented. Subhanallah. After you've typed your number, I'll be your father. A bakin jet na kwasi, men jet na kwasi bomb in your tashi. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Bakin wajen security, wajen inda ake checkpoint na security, wanda kuke gani wannan a kwance shi ma bom ne tashi kai bana sun taru a gefe na. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi bakin tiye.
How did you take this online? We move over to reactions and tweets. We'll start off with this user on X. Appoint a military administrator in Borno State. River State was not nearly this worse before this administration suspended the governor of the state. What are they doing with all the state and local government monthly FAQ? Should security of lives not be supreme than politics? Okay, good question. Another user still reacting to this story, this one wrote, this government should focus more on security and leave politics aside. Nowhere is safe in this country. We need to do better. Well, still on this beat, finally, this user says on X, does insecurity have an end in Nigeria, or has this become a norm? Well, away from that, we move over to another interesting story where yesterday we saw passengers did sustain injuries on Monday morning after a train operating on the Abuja-Kaduna rail corridor was involved in an incident that forced the service to halt midway through the journey. The passenger train traveling from Kaduna to Abuja failed to reach its destination as scheduled after the disruption occurred along the busy rail line linking the Federal Capital Territory with Kaduna State. Let's take a look. Well, reacting to this, here's what you had to say. We'll start off with this one, RNX, who wrote, in a country where infrastructure should move people forward, even the trains are now running into problems. I hope this is sorted as soon as possible. Dossier on X. Another user, Educate, wrote, a major signature project as minister can even last for 10 years. Well, still on the story, this user says, without maintenance, this was bound to happen. And if care is not taken, more will come. Well, away from that, let's let you know that President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja today for a state visit to the UK at the invitation of King Charles III and his wife, Queen Camilla. Now, this was disclosed in a statement yesterday by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. According to him, the President will travel with the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, and other members of his cabinet to strengthen bilateral relations between Nigeria and the UK, particularly in immigration, trade, investment, and cultural exchange. Now, in a video that has now gone viral, we see the flag of Nigeria being hung at parts of the UK. Take a look.
Yeah, so I had a slightly different take. I think that the Americans have misread the Iranian people because,
High on the streets. Another user has this to say: we support our president, but the number of people accompanying him is too much now. Why is the Minister of Defense and NSA leaving the country at the same time with the CNC? Not good optics. Another user reacting to this wrote, the president going with the security architecture of the state while the country is overwhelmed with insecurity challenges. 12 ministers, including the NSA, are going to an event that only the president is invited for. Does this even make any sense? Oh well, an ongoing conversation online, but away from that, let's go over to America, where in a video that has now gone viral, President Donald Trump acknowledges Iranians as very, very smart people. Let's take a look.
Much more, only because people don't understand to a large, it's a big chess game at a very high level. It's a very high level chess, the highest, and I'm dealing with very smart players. These are smart people. They don't get there. You know, when you deal with some of these people, you're dealing with high-level intellect, very high IQ people.
Well, reacting to these online, netizens had this to say. This one wrote, this guy in mind games, you won't see him coming. Another user on X wrote, it seems Trump is the one that wants the negotiations because the Iran leadership said they didn't ask for any. Okay, that's your thought on this. This one says, smart or not, all the world cares for is an end to this war. The opening of the Strait of Hormuz, the resumption of global oil flow, and subsequent drop in fuel prices. Now, finally, on TMI socials, in a video that has now gone viral, Nigerian commander misinterpreted in his video as a moral warning. Now, the clip from a forward base in Borno State features the commander telling soldiers to save themselves first, save small ammunition for self-defense, and not focusing on taking the lives of the militants and Boko Haram they get to see. Let's have a feel.
Don't fire. You don't need to. Okay? You don't need to. We have sufficient platforms that should do that. And they will have better reach than your personal weapons. Keep your ammunition for self-defense for now. If there is any immediate threat to you, that is when you use it. But please allow us to use the bigger guns so that we'll clear the road. Is that clear? I don't want all this indisciplined firing that people will just be, you are not seeing anything. You waste your ammunition without killing even a pigeon. We don't want that. So just take it easy. We'll line up, we'll move, and we'll get there by the grace of God. Okay? So we're not going to waste time. That should start moving now. Okay, let's go.
Well, there you have it. What do you make out of this? Let's find out. With this user reacting online, this is a strong and responsible message from the Nigerian military leadership. Emphasizing restraint while relying on strategy and proper channels shows discipline. Soldiers keeping their weapons for self-defense only helps prevent unnecessary violence and protect civilians while maintaining order. Now, another user on X, Coca, wrote, they are going on clearance operation. He clearly said bigger guns will do the work. God protect our soldiers and defenders of our land. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And of course, God bless you for joining us on TMI Socials this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I am Anuoluwapo Stevens. And from all of us on This Morning on ITV, please stay safe.
ITV certainly the best.
TV, certainly the best.
This is ITV.
Certainly the